All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wave45.tv. This is you're tuning in for Mind Right Mondays with Ask Cash every Monday at 9 p.m. exclusively on Wave45.tv. We started today at 9:30. We had an exclusive guest. We had Kevin Powell on earlier, and this is why we pushed the time back to 9:30. But going forward, every Monday we'll be on at 9 p.m. on Wave45.tv. Kevin Powell was on. He had a powerful message about the Trayvon Martin case. Gave some good insights, some great questions about ways that we could take back control of our community. And as you see, I have my hoodie on in solidarity to support the movement, to support us, support the injustice. We need to take back our communities. We need to, and again, I get a lot of questions and I hear a lot of people talking about, well, how about why we're not marching for black on black crime? So obviously black on black crime is a problem. Obviously black on black crime needs to be addressed. So no one's saying that it shouldn't be addressed, but the blatant racism that is going on with the Trayvon Martin case, there's no reason why this man has not been arrested. There's no reason why he isn't charged. We have to keep supporting the movement. We have to keep it going. It's not a one-shot deal. But welcome to Mind Right Mondays. And it starts with this. It starts with financial responsibility. And this is what I'm going to be talking to you about on a weekly basis every week, Monday at 9 p.m., Wave45.tv. And really the point is to talk about, we are the new generation. We as black folks, Latinos, whatever your culture is, we are now in a space where we can start creating wealth. We need to start creating wealth building for generations to come. We need to stop misusing our money. We need to begin to focus on the things that matter. And, right now we live in, we're recovering from one of the toughest economic times, right? So you see foreclosures, job loss. If you have a job, there's no more job security. You're working harder for less pay. A lot of people who have advanced degrees are not working in the field that they're supposed to be working. So there's a lot of things going on in our communities, a lot of things happening within the economy. So now that's why it's very, very important that we start creating wealth for ourselves, and we start to create passive income, and I'll get into specific ways where you can create wealth. But it's important that we realize, because I always hear a lot of times people make the argument and they talk about other cultures. They talk about whether it's the white culture, Jewish culture, whatever culture. They talk about the different cultures, and they talk about how we're the only ones who don't know how to build wealth, or we waste our money too much. And I do agree to an extent. I do agree that there is a lot of bad spending that is happening. I do agree that we don't own enough of our community. I think that we spend a lot of money. I think last year in 2011, as a community, we spent $806 billion on products and services. And that's a lot of money. That is, if we were to rank us in countries, we would rank 16th wealthiest country if we were one country. So that's a lot of money that we're spending when we can be building the wealth. But in the same breath, though, we have to understand that black wealth, Latino wealth, it's a new thing to us. It's not something that's been around for a long time, because when you think about the age of the country, right? You think about the United States of America is only about 450 years old. That's it. And for a good part of that, African Americans were enslaved. So let's say, enslaved for about 350 of those years. So we didn't have access to build wealth. We didn't have access to making money and passing on wealth from generation to generation. And then after the emancipation happened, you then look at Jim Crow. You then look at all of the different things that still stopped us from, building wealth and passing down wealth from generation to generation. So really, that we started to get access to wealth building right around civil rights movement. Right around, and again, we had our Madam C.J. Walkers, we had our Reginald Lewises, we had our A.G. Gascott. We had these folks who were making money, were able to make money during the times where, by large, we weren't able to make money, but it wasn't a norm for us. So as a community, this is why we see a lot of folks behind, because wealth is a new thing. But now we have no excuse. Now we have access to wealth building. We have access to the tools. There is, obviously there's still racism. There's still things happening that could potentially be a roadblock, but not necessarily stop us. So we're at a point now where the only thing that can stop us is us. We have to start putting our priorities in order. And I'll give you some quick statistics that's actually sad. But, again, we have to get back. So you think about the net worth, right? You look at net worth of the average American, and if you take, white people, or you take people who are not African American or Hispanic, and their net worth, and the net worth just means what you own, right? Whatever you own, your assets minus your liabilities, so minus any debt that you have, right? So if you look at any white or any non-African American, non-Hispanics, the average net worth is $113,000 in the U.S. For African American and Latinos, our net worth is $5,000, right? So $5,000 is our net worth, right? And that means assets minus whatever we owe, right? Minus our debt and our liabilities. And the thing that we have to pay attention to is that 25% of African Americans have a negative net worth, meaning that they owe more money than they own, right? So they have a lot of debt. Then another 25% are at zero, meaning that when you take their assets, when you take their liabilities, what they owe, they're at zero. So they don't owe anything, but they don't own anything as well, right? So that means when you look at all of the wealthy, African Americans, all the wealthy people in the country, they make up the difference of those who have zero net worth and negative net worth, and that number is still only 5,000, right? So that's an issue. That's an issue, and this is why we have to continue to build wealth. We see entertainers, we see athletes, we see businessmen. There are a lot of people now who are making a lot of money, who are making millions of dollars, and we need to learn the steps. And that's why this is called Mind Right Mondays, right? It could have been called Money Right Mondays, but it's about getting that mindset first, right? You have to get your mind in order and understand that we need to change the relationship with money. And this is why we're talking about saving and building wealth, is because our relationship with money right now is that we have to work for money, right? So in order for us to get any money, we have to be able to work for it. And this is what our mindset is. Our mindset is that if we need money, we're going to go grind, right? We're going to go hustle. We're going to go out there. If the bills aren't being paid, we're going to get another job that's going to pay us more money. And instead of creating the wealth mentality where it means to create passive income, make money work for you opposed to you working for it. And I always stress this in any workshops I do, in any talks that I do. I always stress that you should work to learn, not to earn, right? And when you work, what you're working for is to learn as much as you can so that you can eventually create another stream of income that's gonna be passive, so that you can begin to build multiple streams of income, so you won't have to rely only on your physical labor. Because especially now, when you look at the job market, when you look at what's happening in the economy, this is why we're stressing jobs. This is why we're saying, we need more jobs, because of course, they say it takes money to make money. So of course, you have to work and get some type of capital, whether it's you work for it, grants, loans, whatever the case may be. But you have to get some type of capital in order for you to make your money work for you. But at the same breath, though, it's not just working just so that you can maintain your lifestyle. And that's what a lot of us do. We work so that we can maintain our lifestyles. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to create wealth, how to save first of all, and then how to build wealth. Because I think the saving portion of it is very important, because this would alleviate us getting ourselves in trouble, right? On average, we should have between 6 to 8 months of living expenses liquid in an account at all times. And when I say liquid just means available in cash, meaning that if there was an emergency, you knew right now that you have access to 6 to 8 months of living expenses. So let's say if you did your budget and you have your monthly expenses are $1,000 a month, then you should have between $6,000 to $8,000 liquid in an account. I know that's not happening, because when we look at the numbers, the average American, forget Black, Latino, or any other type of ethnicity, the average American has only $500 saved in an account. So that's a big issue right there, because we're relying too much on credit. We're relying too much on using someone else's dollar when emergencies happen. So we need to begin to start saving 6 to 8 months. And what that does is that alleviates any emergency. So let's say, for instance, anything happens where, we lose our job, we get sick, we have to take care of a loved one, whatever it is, we know that we'll be taken care of for at least 6 to 8 months. So it's imperative that we start that. And so how do we start our savings program? And the first thing I say is make it automatic. We can't trust ourselves to believe that, what, Ash Cash said we should have 6 to 8 months of expenses in an account. So starting today, I'm going to start saving money. If that was the case, then we will all be good, because this is not new stuff. We know all this stuff already. We know, we've read the books, we've heard people say this, and if it's the first time we're hearing it, I guarantee you that it's gonna take us time to make it a habit, right? Because we're so used to doing things a certain way that we now need to create the new habit, right? In life, all you have is good habits and bad habits. In order to get rid of one, you have to replace it with the other. So we have to make it automatic. That's the best way to begin savings. And I always say, treat yourself like the IRS. If, when the IRS takes their money, if you work a 9 to 5, they don't wait for you to give it to them. They take it before you even see it. And that way you don't even miss it, because at the end of the day, whatever you see as your gross, your net, that's what you have to spend, and that's what you budget your expenses off of. So you must pay yourself first. No matter what, you have to pay yourself first, and use that money to create a safety net of 6 to 8 months of expenses. Once you have 6 to 8 months of expenses, then we start looking at other things to do with the money, like creating passive income, like creating ownership, right? That's the only thing that's gonna build wealth. Anything else does not build wealth. If you don't own anything, then you cannot build wealth, because your net worth, like I said earlier, is your assets, what you own, minus your liabilities. So if you have no assets, right, and you have no liabilities, let's say you have no debt, then your net worth is zero. If you have no assets and you have a lot of liabilities, a lot of debt, then your net worth is negative. So it's important that we understand what we mean by what is your net worth, right? What is your, what is your net worth? It equates to what you own. So you have to own property. I can't stress enough that we must have ownership in property. We must create intellectual property, whether it's whatever you have a passion for, There's so many things that you can create as as passive income. One thing that I'm fond of is rental property. I like rental property only, and even in this market, a lot of people always say, "Well, is it a good time to buy a home?" I think it is, because now the homes were inflated. Now they're at a good point where people could buy homes, but it's about owning property. It's about owning things that are of value to other people that's going to create money for you. So whether it's anything that has residual income, whether it's franchising the business, you must create the habit of owning in order to create wealth for yourself. So the first tip again is to make it automatic. Always make your savings automatic. Make sure you have 6 to 8 months of expenses in an account. You want to create residual income, and you do that by owning property. I always talk about this, and Oprah is always a great example of this, is that she's working right now because she wants to work. She's not working because she has to, because when you look at the different things that she's set up, she has a magazine, she has a TV network, she has other, like Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil, Rachel Ray, even if they're not on the own network, they're still produced and owned by Harpo Studios. And there are countless other things. Even the Oprah Winfrey Show that was on air for 25 years is still syndicated in 144 countries. So it's about ownership. We have to create ownership and change that mindset that we have to work for money. We have to make money work for us. And so those are the tips. I have a lot of questions, so we're going to take some time to answer some of those questions. If you have any questions, please send them directly to Twitter. You can, my Twitter name is I am Ash Cash, and you can send me some questions there. And the first question we're gonna ask is, okay, so it says, with the tips you're going to tell us about tonight about wealth building, would I be able to save $1 million in my lifetime? And the question is absolutely. It really depends on your age. But I'm assuming that you are a young professional in 20s or 30s. And you can save $1 million in your lifetime, because what you have to understand is the power of compound interest. That's why it's imperative, no matter what your age is, it's never too early to save, that you should start saving at an early age, because as you save, you start to earn interest on top of interest, and that's what compound interest is. Compound interest is is earning interest on top of interest. So let's say if I save $1,000 at 10%, let's say for the year, that means after year one, I'll have $1,100. But see, the great thing about that is that after year two, I'm not only earning interest on my $1,000, I'm earning interest on my $1,000 plus the $100 that I earned. And especially if you're continuously investing and putting money aside, then you're always going to continue to get you're going to continuously get compound interest, and you can absolutely save $1 million. $1 million is actually, people, if you look at what people make over their lifetime, it's way past $1 million. So if you're smart about your money, if you're looking at and you're paying attention to the difference between your needs and your wants, then it's going to be very simple to save $1 million, especially after you save that 6 to 8 months of expenses and you start to create multiple streams of income. Now you're not only relying on, because savings and investing is one form of creating a stream of income, one form of residual income, but there are other things that you can do in order to create more wealth. So $1 million is actually very doable with the right mindset. I appreciate the question. Next question I have is from Apollo Kids, and it says, do you recommend new college grads starting investing in a 401k with their first job? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it's the biggest misconception is that people Of course, you want to think about. Let me take this hood off because it's getting a little hot. You want to think about. People think about debt first. People think about their debt. They think about their student loans. But you have to think about your retirement. And just like I explained a few seconds ago about compound interest, is that the earlier you start, the more access you have, the more compound interest is going to work for you because you have more time, right? Compound interest works with time. The longer you have your money in an investment, the more access is going to be able to compound and earn interest on top of interest. So I think that immediately you should start a 401k. I don't think you should wait. I think that you should start investing in your retirement, because if you're only relying on Social Security, we know that Social Security is not going to be enough to take care of us, take care of our lifestyle once we retire. So we want to start investing in a 401k. And even if back in the day, you would get a job and people would stay on that job for 20, 30 years, right? So they would have the same same company, same 401k. You can still open a 401k with your first job, even if you don't expect to be there that long, because most companies do offer matches, and that's another reason why it's advantageous for you to start with a 401k, because a lot of them offer a dollar for dollar match, so they'll incent you and give you money for investing in a 401k. But if you wind up leaving that employer, you can always roll your 401k over, whether it's to another employer, or you can roll it over into an IRA, which is an individual retirement account, which is you maintain it yourself. So let's say you have an IRA open, you open a 401k with your first employer, and then after you do that, you then can transfer, let's say you leave that employer, you can transfer it to an IRA. In any case, if you wind up, going to another employer, you should always have the 401k, because I think that it's a great way to, again, build wealth, and it's also a great way to plan for your retirement. Next question from Patrice D. Hey, Patrice. It says, how do you know when you need a financial planner? Another great question. I think that having a financial planner is as your financial situation gets more complex, I would say that it is to your advantage to get a financial planner, only because personal finance is not only about checking and savings and investments. There are, estate planning that comes into play. There's wills that come into play. There's tax laws. There's so many things that wealthy people have access to because they have a financial planner that can help with complex issues or complex finances. If you're just starting out, I wouldn't say, visiting a financial planner is not a bad idea, though. So I wouldn't say to wait till you make, six figures, or you wait till you have $1 million to get a financial planner, because it is a great idea to begin to work with someone, while you're in accumulation stage, is what most people are, after they graduate. Young professionals are usually in accumulation stage. So it is a great idea to speak to somebody. A lot of your local banks are affiliated with financial planners or financial advisors that can give you advice, free advice. Actually, it's not, you don't have to pay for it. You can actually sit down with them, and there's some, sophisticated tools out there where you can kind of put in, how much you make, and, your whole financial profile, and it could give you an action plan and say, this is what you should be working towards. So, at the place where you would need a financial planner is when your financial situation gets more complex. But it's never too early to sit down with somebody so they can review your finances and kind of give you an idea of, so you can know what your goals are. So at least you can have something that you're working towards as well. So I appreciate the question, Patrice. Next question says, how would you suggest to live within your means if you don't have that much income? I see this all the time. I'll give you a great example. I do a lot of workshops, a lot of financial literacy workshops, and a lot of times when I speak to people, I kind of talk to them, and we do what's called spending diary. And a spending diary, it goes over all of your all of where your money goes for a month. So we're about to approach April. So if you're having problems with a budget, I suggest that you do this. It's very simple. You can take a little notebook, and every day for the whole month, every time you spend money, you write down where the money is going. A lot of times people say, well, I don't make enough money. I can't do this. I can't do certain things. And the problem with that is that if you start to look at where your money is going, you'll realize that people just don't prioritize. People are not willing to make sacrifices. People always want to live above their means while they're in transition or figuring things out. So I say that because the question says, how do you suggest to live within your means? So living within your means is understanding the difference between your needs and your wants. You have to decide. You have to see what do I absolutely need, and I'm gonna give you a definition of need and want. A need is something that you have to have in order to survive, meaning that if you don't have this item, you will die. That's it, right? Meaning that food is a necessity. If you don't eat, you will die. Water, a necessity. Shelter, a necessity. Clothes, a necessity, but not designer clothes, right? You need shoes, but you don't need designer shoes. So what I'm saying is that you can spend money on the things that you like, and you can spend money on the things that you want, but you have to do it within moderation. And if you only concentrate or you put your concentration on the things that are necessary, things that you need, I can guarantee you that you can find money in order to live within your means and even have money to save, right? And I'm not talking about someone who just lost their job or somebody who is underemployed or whatever, because there are going to be situations where you have to take a step back and take a step forward. There are going to be situations where you just don't make enough money, but there's only three ways, right? Three ways to increase your bottom line, and your bottom line is the money that you're left over with after you pay everything. And it's either you decrease your expenses, you increase your income, which means get another job that's paying higher, get a second job. Or you do both. You decrease your expenses and increase your income. And those are only three ways. There's no other way that you can increase your bottom line. So as it relates to living within your means, you have to be able to prioritize and know how to put the first things first. Another question says, how does a person build their credit back up after filing for bankruptcy? That's a great question. We have about 2 minutes left. And so that's a great question, but I'm going to answer that at a later time. Remember, we're going to be here every Monday, wave45.tv at 9 p.m. And I actually have a special segment on credit that's going to specifically, because there's different ways. So I'll specifically tackle that in one of the later shows. But thanks for the question. So make sure you tune in every Monday at 9 p.m. A question from Marv Lowe. It says, what's the best way to restore your credit? So it's another credit question. I'll give you this real quick, right? Your credit score, your FICO score is broken down. There's 5 things that you can control, right? You can control your usage. So that's how much you use relative to your credit limit. You can how well do you pay back your credit? You also have your credit mix, so how much, the different type of credits. New credit is one, and the other 10%. So it's new credit, your credit mix. How do you currently use credit? And the main two, 35% of your score is paying your bills on time. 30% is your usage ratio. So if you keep your usage ratio down between 20 to 30%, which means that if you have a $1,000 credit card, you should not be spending more than $200 to $300. Your usage should always be about 20 to 30%. If you keep your usage down and you pay your bills on time, that's 65% of your score, and that's the best way to restore your credit. But again, we'll talk about that at a later time. I appreciate the questions. That's my time. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. I am Ash Cash or Twitter. I am Ash Cash. You can also have a website, www.askashcash.com. You can send me questions as well via email, which is questions at askashcash.com. Questions at askashcash.com. That is my time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mind Right Mondays, every Monday at 9 p.m. exclusively on Wave45.tv. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate you.